welcome back to Tiffany's Books, where I read books and I talk to you about them. This is my weekly wrap-up, where I have actually read things. So, I'm so excited that I have actually read things this week. I have a few things to talk to you about, and I'm really excited. The first big thing is that I finished Fool's Fate, and I started filming this already, and I started chatting a little bit too much about the realm of the Elderlings in general, and I think maybe I just need to do a chatty video about the realm of the Elderlings so far. So, but I'm not going to go into it too deeply. I'm just going to say that Fool's Fate is the final book in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings. And I can't really say a whole lot about the trilogy in general because it spoils two other series. So this is the third series. We start off following Fitz in the first series in Assassin's Apprentice from when he's 5 or 6 years old. And then we follow him until he's about 20, according to things that are revealed to us in the Tawny Man trilogy. He's about 20 at the end of the first series. And then the second series, we jump to Bingtown, a different part of the map. We're outside of the Six Duchies, which is where we spend our first time. And that's still my favorite trilogy, basically, after reading this one too. So now in the Tawny Man, we are back with Fitz and his best friend, the Fool. Fool's Errand. Fool's Fate. That's Golden Fool. It's the Fool's series, but it's still told through Fitz's perspective. So a lot happens. This was like the most emotional I have been reading a book in a long time. I cried at least like 5 or 6 times, more times than I have in any other book this year, maybe, except for I made a joke about I keep my exoskeletons to myself with being 1 star for every time I cried, and I gave that 5 stars. So the two were close. Apparently this is just the year that I cry, and I don't consider myself a big crier, at least at I've never really been someone to cry at movies, but recently I have. I think going into my 30s and the closer I get to my 40s, the more I don't give a fuck anymore, and I just cry about things apparently. I don't know. Hormones are weird, man. So I cried a lot. I cried a lot on the freeway. I did have to stop listening to this on audio because I could not handle this audio narrator. And there's a character in this series called Thick, and he has Down syndrome. And the way that the audio narrator voiced him makes him sound like a very unintelligent character, when in the book, Fitz points out multiple times that Thick is not dumb. He just processes things differently than we do, and we need to understand that. Like Fitz is advocating for Thick constantly, even though he's getting frustrated in the fact that he's kind of been put in a carer role for him, because there are some things that that Thick processes differently. So he's not necessarily the best at keeping on a timeline or making sure he has all of his things together, because those just aren't big concerns to him. And Fitz points that out. And the audio narrator makes it sound like Thick is just this big child, and also a very unintelligent one, and he gives him a very rude voice. The voice, it's an insult, and I did not like it. I had other issues with this audio narrator, and so I realized I was getting really mad about the book, and I was like, Fitz is a character who frustrates me. I adore him so much, but I want to shake him a lot, and that is, to me, really good writing, right? But I was getting mad at him in these books, and I think it was the audio narrator. I cannot handle this audio narrator. The way he narrates Fitz has a tendency to be really self-absorbed at times and to be kind of selfish. I don't blame him for that because of his upbringing and the way that he was raised. It makes sense that he's that way, but the narrator makes it sound so much worse and so much more just Fitz is not necessarily an arrogant and condescending character. He's just a little limited in his capacity to see past himself at times. And the narrator just makes it sound like he's above it all and better than everyone else. And I could smug. The audio narrator was smug, and I couldn't handle it, and it was pissing me off. So I did end up reading it physically to finish it, which was a great experience. But it's just me and sitting with a thick, heavy fantasy book has been a challenge lately. So I did finish it. I do recommend it. It is probably, I still think I enjoyed Farseer more. I know a lot of people who are finishing around the same time as me have said this was their favorite so far, but I still think it's live ship for me. It probably goes live ship, the Farseer trilogy, just because of the characters and the way we get to interact with them. And then the Tawny Man, but they are all very close. But even if I look at my ratings, I gave Golden Fool, I think, 4.5 stars. I think they're close, but this one, there was some stuff in it about Fitz's character and the way that he treated the fool and stuff that just kind of took some of the shine off of him for me, which is great. I love that. Like, I genuinely love a complex, complicated character, who I can see faults in and stuff, but it was kind of disappointing at the same time. So anyway, Robin Hobb was writing ahead of her time, I will say that. So moving on. Otherwise I'll spend the rest of this video just talking about Robin Hobb. So the Wayward Children series, I just like back to back downed 3 of these books on audio. I love the audio for these. I know a couple people that I've talked to recently don't, but they work for me. So I read Where the Drowned Girls Go, Lost in the Moment and Found, and Mislaid in Parts Half Known. These, I don't know why these titles are so hard for me to remember sometimes. They're so long, but they're like Fall Out Boy lyrics and I love them. So anyway, these 3 books, actually, like I said, I'm going to have a video coming out on Friday. Oh my God, my eye's twitching again. These 3 books are related, and I have a video that's going to be coming out on Friday to discuss these 3 books as like a group. So I finished them, like I said, back to back, and my hold for the last book that's out so far just came through. Yay, I'm so excited. So, and that is this one. I can't remember the name of it. It's got a turtle on the cover. I can tell you that. The Wayward Children series is set at Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, which is a home for children, it's in the name, who have gone through a portal and then come back to our world. And in these portal worlds, they spent a short amount of time or a long amount of time. Some of them lived entire lives and then came back the same age as they went in. It depends on what they went to and what world they went to. But the thing is they never felt that they fit in our world. And then when they came back from a world they fit into, they had to readjust. And a lot of them want to go back to that world. And so does the person who runs our home, Eleanor. So we've followed different characters throughout it. We kind of had this recurring cast in the main books of characters where they may not be the POV, but they are important, and they will sometimes be a POV because we don't necessarily head hop, but we have an omniscient narrator for these who starts off in the POV of one character, and then as more characters come into the quest group, we get more POVs. Like, we get more in their head on occasion. So it can be a little like, oh wait, no, okay, no, now we're with the omniscient narrator. So it can be a little bit confusing, but I think I enjoy the books enough that it doesn't bother me. So in Where the Drowned Girls Go, we're following Cora, and Cora's world that she went to was a mermaid world. And so Cora has issues with how people have perceived her due to her weight. She's always been overweight, and people have perceived her as being less than and judged her for it and all of this stuff. And she tried to kill herself, and then she went to this drowned world where she became a mermaid and got some confidence and stuff, and then the world kicked her back out, because the whole thing with these worlds is you have to be sure. And so she had a moment where maybe she missed her mom. I think she says in one of the books she missed her mom and she missed bread. And then when she got here, she realized that bread wasn't as great as she thought it was, like, type of thing. So anyway, we're following her, and she's dealing with some trauma from one of the other books, and she decides to go visit the other school that exists, which is for the kids who want to forget. And she gets herself into a whole situation and has to be saved. And so that's how the other characters come in. And then in the next book the next book is Mislaid in Parts. No, the next book is Lost in the Moment and Found. And we meet our character who we kind of met in the last book, which is Cora's new roommate named Ansi. And we get her backstory, which is one that the beginning was hard to listen to. So I went and got the author's note from the Google preview from the book. So it says, while all the Wayward Children books have dealt with heavy themes and childhood traumas, this one addresses an all too familiar monster, the one that lives in your own home. Themes of grooming and adult gaslighting are present in the early text. As a survivor of something very similar, I would not want to be surprised by these elements where I didn't expect them. I just want to offer you this reassurance. Ansi runs. Before anything can actually happen, Ansi runs. This is about a girl who her dad died, and then her stepdad is not such a nice man. and it does depict basically getting a child into a situation where they can be assaulted by an adult in their life, but none of the assault ever happens. And so she says, I want you to know that before anything can happen, Ansi runs. And so I was like, okay, we're going into something kind of deep. And it was so hard to listen to. Audio narrator is really good, and it was so hard to listen to, but it was worth it. And the way that her story was handled, and then she again is the main character for the last book that I read so far, book 9, which is Mislaid in Parts Half Known. And she's the main character of that book because when she came out of her world, she can find anything. And so she ends up having to run from these girls at the school who want her to find their door. And she gets back to her world, which is a Nexus world where all the doors will eventually open to her world. Any door that can open on Earth can open onto that Nexus. And so we learn a lot of the lore in these last 2 books. And that was fascinating to me. I'm very much like Cade, who we got some time with, where I'm like, give me the lore about the doors. I need to know. I really, really want to see Cade's map so badly. So anyway, we get more of her story, more of her taking some agency and being strong and overcoming everything she went through. And I really appreciated her arc. Her arc has probably been my favorite so far. Like, she's such a good character. Absolutely adore her. So, then I read Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. And this was a short book. I listened to this one on audio too while I was doing a project. And I think I get why my light just went out. I get why a lot of people say it was disappointing. Sorry about the lighting. It just went off. Let me turn the other one on so I'm not sitting here in the half dark. Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. So this one came out before The Salt Grows Heavy, and I think The Salt Grows Heavy is definitely my preferred one so far by them. This one follows a group of 20-somethings who go to this like abandoned / haunted manor in Japan, and of course they end up haunted. The haunting did not have enough buildup, nor did it have enough of a strong presence for me to really care about the haunting. It was more about one of the characters who kind of experienced a like mental break from the haunting, but I didn't care enough about him or the other characters that he was doing things to for me to actually care that it was happening. And I think that's what it was. I think I gave it a 3 because it was fine. I didn't hate it because the writing is lovely. Cassandra Khaw writes fantastically lyrical prose with a lot of big words that a lot of times I have to look up, but I like the way that they write and I like the rhythm of the story. But the story itself didn't have a lot of meat on it for me, and that was really what it was. It's very hard to talk about because it was very short, but the main character was very similar to the main character in the library at Hellebore. So where she's like, she doesn't really get along well with everyone. She has some trauma in her past, and that kind of makes her like not really want to be friends with people and makes her closed off. And then I'm like, okay, so why do I care about all these other people in this book if you don't care about them, which is fine, but then maybe don't give me so much about them. Like, just, I found it frustrating. And I mean, yeah, it's the same thing I didn't like really about the characters in the library at Hellebore. It wasn't the writing, it was the character. So it's hard to care when the main character doesn't care, is I think what it is. When the main character doesn't care, it's very hard to care. So it was fine, but I'm glad I read it. So that's what I finished. Let's talk about what I am currently reading. I actually have a few currently reading things. I've read the first chapter of The Second Death of Locke. I really want to read more of that, but my weekend was just a little bit hectic. So I didn't really do any reading on it, but I'm really enjoying the first chapter. We're following these 2 characters who have known each other since they were children, and now they are in the military together. We are in a war, and our one character, Gray, she is a knight / soldier / healer. She's called the Hand of her mage, whose name is Kier, I think, if I remember correctly. And he's a mage. He does magic. He's higher up in the military in this war, and as a hand, Gray is his will. He pulls power from her to run his magic. and they're about to go have to retrieve something. So that's the start of it. That's all I know. I'm enjoying the writing. The story sounds interesting. Love a strong woman. Excited about that. So I read the first chapter of that. I picked up Attack on Titan 13 last night to finish it because I have one chapter left, and then my boyfriend started talking to me and I never finished it. So I still have to read that. I still have that whole stack. If you saw in my vlog, I got a whole stack of Attack on Titan. I think I brought them out last week too. I did this. So I need to read those. They're due back October 2nd. So I think this week my goal is to do like one a day, and we're going to see how we can do with that. So, because I really want to get them done. And then I have Loot by Jennifer Thorne. So I picked this up on audio as a recommendation from Lisa Does Booksta. We both read Diavola last summer, and then she read this one right after, and she was like, oh my gosh, I think you'll like this one. She was like, you should definitely check it out. So my library had it. I'm listening to it, really enjoying it, but at the same time, there's war, and it's America and Russia in a war against the rest of the world. And I'm like, oh, joy. Don't know when this was written, but I assume it's sometime around like between 2016 and now. So joy. But we're on this small island outside of Britain called Lute. The island is called Lute. And they have every 7 years, the summer solstice, they call it the day. And we're getting some implications of what happens on the day. People have gone missing in families, all of these things. It's assumed there's going to be some sort of sacrifice, is my guess, right? But it says that the island wants people or whatever, right? The island does the taking. So I don't know. But our main character is American. She's new to the island. She married the lord of the island. And so her husband is well steeped in this knowledge, but is refusing to share it with her and is hiding things from her. And they have 2 kids together, and he's kind of absent and then present and then absent and then present, and I'm frustrated with him for that. But they have 2 young kids, so I'm like, something's going to happen. So I like the writing, I like the narrator. We're just gonna see what happens. It's been kind of slow. I'm like 1/3 in, nothing has really happened yet except for some weird dreams, so we'll see how that goes. Do I have anything else that I'm currently reading? Oh, I started volume 4 of Witch Hat Atelier the other night before I went to bed. I only read like 30 pages, so I have a lot more to go on that one too, but I did start it. So those are the things I'm currently reading. Projects. Let me reach. My leaves for August have been blocked for a while. I just need to sew them on. And then we do need to start September, because we are now at 13 books read for September, and I have not crocheted a single leaf, but this is all I read in August, and I haven't even attached them yet. So this is a to-do item. So maybe we can get that done today, because the chain is here. It's getting to be a lot. I'm not gonna stretch it out, but I did have that mistake where I accidentally skipped all of these. So I'm debating trying to undo, but I've already, was it these? Oh, I think it was down here. I skipped this chain and like moved everything down, but I've already woven in all these ends and I really don't want to move them. So instead I just started, and I'll have to add on to the end. So because if you're not familiar, this chain has 1 chain for every day of the year, and I'm doing the books according to the day of the year that I finished them. So, and then I messed up. So I need to like, I don't know, bunch this or something, but I think I'm just gonna let it go and let it be. It's just whether or not I continue the spacing out to here, or if I just put them in the order that I feel like, which is probably what I'll end up doing, because it's a lot anyway. And there's no way I was gonna be like counting things to look at, oh, I didn't finish a book for like 10 days. No, I don't care. I think I'm just gonna attach, and we're gonna go as we go. Whatever looks good. So, yeah, that's that. And then the last project that I'm nearly done with, I had to undo a bunch last night. So now I've got a bunch of yarn that I probably completely messed up. My cardigan, which again is in my vlog. So this is what it looks like currently. This is big, massive things. Did these granny squares in the back. I'm not gonna hold it up, but this is what we're working with for a cardigan. Where's the sleeve I'm working on? I'm working on a cuff for the sleeve. I have a cuff for the sleeve, a cuff for the other sleeve, and then I might make some pockets, and then we're done. Finally. So, yeah. Brightly colored. I'll probably only wear it around the house, but it's fun. It's exciting. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm working on that. I'm working on another cardigan. I've said before, I'm working on the Taylor Swift cardigan for my friend's kid. And then I have a couple of things I want to start. So I am working on a vlog, a project vlog again. So if you liked my 2 project vlogs, I am working on another one where I am reading and working on repainting a dresser that I can put in here to put all of my fabric and craft stuff in. So it won't fit all of it, but it'll fit a good chunk. So that's what we're working on. If you're interested in that. And again, I will have a review of The Wayward Children out on Friday for your viewing entertainment. Thanks for sticking around with me while I had my light go out and bumbled my way through the descriptions of things, and I'll see you soon.